Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this quick stimulus package update. Today we have some updated stimulus check dates that I've been waiting for, and I'm happy to have news on. We have some EIDL grant program news, some Paycheck Protection funding news, and some news with the lenders there. And I answer more of your guys' questions about stimulus checks, the EIDL, all of the above towards the end of the video. So let's get right into it, starting with the arrival date and the stimulus portal updates. An IRS spokeswoman stated that veterans benefit recipients should start receiving their stimulus payments in early May. And I'm so grateful to finally get some news here, because I've been searching literally every single day for an update on this, because I think it's really important for the veterans to get their payments. I thought it was ridiculous that they were having to wait so long. It's not the greatest time frame, it's not an exact date, but early May is better than we don't know. So I'm glad to actually have some information there. Also, SSI non-filers should begin seeing payments also in early May. That's a question that I get asked on pretty much every single video for the SSI non-filers. So onto the stimulus portal, huge piece of news here. In an update posted this week, the IRS said that if you have successfully entered in your bank information any day until noon on Tuesday, the Tuesday of any given week, your payment date will be available beginning on the following Saturday. If you miss that Tuesday deadline, you'll have to wait another week in order to see your updated payment date. It may also be missing if your payment has already been processed, and in that case, you'll receive your check within 14 days. So if you finally enter in your information, you might have to wait more than 1 week in order to get an update. That's a major issue that I keep seeing. Hey, I entered in my information, nothing's changing. They say they change it at night. Well, now they updated that they're only changing this one time a week. So at least we have some firm guidelines on what exactly is going on. We're not all, running around with like chickens with their heads cut off. Moving on, if you receive SSI or Veterans Affairs benefits, I've already talked about this, but I think it's really important just to restate really quickly. For 2018 or 2019, you have until May 5th in order to fill out the non-filers tool to receive your $500 per dependent payment. This doesn't count if you don't have dependents. Don't worry about this part, skip ahead 20 seconds. If you have dependents, fill out the non-filer tool if you receive SSI or veterans benefits. If you do not do that, you will not receive that $500 per dependent payment until you file a 2020 tax return. So moving on to Paycheck Protection news, according to COVIDLoanTracker.com, as of today, the 30th, 10.2% of businesses who have applied for the Paycheck Protection program have received funding. This is up from just 10.1% just yesterday. It's not quite the numbers that I'd hoped to see this week with all this additional funding coming in. I'd like to say that at least there's some increases here. However, a 0.1% increase isn't super satisfying, although I'm glad that additional people are receiving funding. It's also been stated that the E-Tran system for the SBA had a function yesterday where it locked out large lenders for 8 hours. After 4 p.m., from 4 p.m. to midnight, all large lenders were locked out. This would give small lenders a better chance to get their applications in. So here's something that I've really been harping on. There's a huge push in this program for small lenders to get equal access, or at least better access. And I'm going to sound like a broken record here, because I keep recommending everyone who hasn't received funding through their Paycheck Protection loan to apply through a small lender. There's funds specifically slotted for small lenders, like 5% of the total of both packages is slotted for small lenders, which doesn't sound much, but it makes a difference. And small lenders did the best job of actually getting funding to clients in the first round of funding. I applied through several banks. The first one to reach out back to me about the Paycheck Protection program was a small lender. I haven't received any funding yet, but they were the first one who gave me like a preliminary, it looks good kind of thing. There's also been a ruling put in place that no one lender can process more than 10% of the total Paycheck Protection funds. This would amount to about $60 billion. So as of right now, no one lender is looking like they'll pass that up. I'm kind of conflicted about this lending cap rule though. On one hand, I think it's good that not one lender can process so many to give more chance to smaller lenders who are going to focus on more rural clients or minority clients. However, on the other hand, let's say, for example, someone applies to Bank of America and Bank of America hits that lending cap. And that person only applied through them. Now what? They're out of luck. They have to apply somewhere else and then be at the back of the line at a different bank. That's kind of unfair too. So I'm not sure what exactly I think about that. What are your guys' thoughts on that lending cap? Because it might end up being an issue for one or two banks, one or two huge banks. I personally have not received any more communication for my Paycheck Protection loan. Yesterday I received some conditional approval, but I haven't received any further guidance or approval or funding or anything like that. I'll keep you guys updated on that. Also remember, with the Paycheck Protection program, now that some of you are actually receiving funding, you will have to request forgiveness. After 8 weeks is the forgiveness period. But I recommend everyone request forgiveness and get your documents together on week 7 after receiving your loan. They're not going to notify you in most cases, and after 8 weeks in most cases they're going to try and sell off that loan elsewhere. So you'll have to request forgiveness and provide the documents. In EIDL news as of today, 12.5% of small businesses have received the EIDL grant money. This is up from 12.1% yesterday. So it's a bigger increase in Paycheck Protection, but still not a huge increase, 0.4% of an increase from yesterday. I'm receiving more and more notice of people who have received EIDL grants, so that's exciting. I haven't received any more indication that people will be paid back up to that $10,000 amount besides that letter from the Democratic Party members. And I'll keep you guys updated if I hear anything more on that as well. So on to some of your guys' stimulus questions, stimulus package questions. I like to answer the most interesting ones that I've seen or questions that I haven't yet answered maybe quite as much in detail. Vincent Fried asks, I received a $1,000 SBA disaster advance as an independent contractor. Do I get to keep it without proof? Also, I applied for the Paycheck Protection program. What happens if I get that too? So this is a major issue that I see with the EIDL grant. I've talked about this a little bit, but I've yet to see anything that says you'll need to prove what exactly this is spent on. It seems very odd to me that it's set up this way, especially when there are stipulations that you can't spend the EIDL money on the same things as the Paycheck Protection loan if you get both. You can't have like a double benefit. You can't double dip. You can't spend them both on the same payroll item or the same rent or whatever. So this may be a case where the SBA just simply has too many applications to keep track of, they spent this on this, they spent it on this, they spent it on this, because there's literally millions of applications. However, I'm wary of that, even though we haven't received any guidance. I personally will only spend my EIDL grant on approved things that they said beforehand, just so I can be 100% sure. And if I get the Paycheck Protection, I'm not going to double dip. So I'm going to spend it on things like payroll, rent. I don't really have any interest expense. So I guess I'll spend it on payroll and rent, really. There's one more thing you can spend it on is like disruptions in supply chain that cost you more now. That one will be a little bit more complicated to prove, but I personally recommend just being safe with it. And then the next question, David Green asks, is the spouse of a Social Security recipient eligible for the $1,200 stimulus? Yes, as long as they're not claimed as a dependent on anyone's taxes. Next question, Oscar Blanco asks, SBA pulled my credit. I applied for the EIDL. What does this mean? Well, that's a good sign. Chances are, if the SBA pulled your credit, you're an independent contractor or sole proprietor or something where there's a business under your Social Security number. Many people tend to get their credit checked and then receive funding like 2 to 5 days later. Now I have received notice from some people who've actually been declined the EIDL grant after having their credit checked. Seems like very few, and I haven't received any notice like explanation as to why they've been denied. So it might not be credit wise. It's kind of confusing why they would deny certain people, because that was part of the law explicitly, that even if you get denied for a loan, you get that grant. So I haven't received any proof, but I've heard some hearsay of people who've been denied. So that's all I have for today. If you guys have any more specific questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. I think I'll keep on doing these daily updates if you guys like them. Until next time, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.